Welcome to Inside OSU Athletics. I'm Casey Kendrick, and we are joined by the head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowgirl women's basketball team. That is Coach Jacie Hoyt. It is good to have you with us, Coach, as we get a chance to get everybody caught up on what's happened so far this season.
Yes, I'm excited to get back on board with this.
Yeah, and it's fun because, again, we do this in so many different ways, right? This is a little different venue, so we're going to kind of get everybody caught up on what has happened. And so let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about how the season started with a lot of newcomers, a really talented and highly coveted portal class, a great core, a good freshman. So just kind of talk about how this team kind of came together.
Yeah, I think that for the first time since I've been at Oklahoma State, I felt better than I ever have going into a season because of that core that you mentioned. I just have not had that luxury. Yeah. And, we had such a great season last year, and outside of the seniors that just were out of eligibility, we were able to return that core group and a great group of players, great group of leaders, a group that was hungry to continue down this path that we've been on. So it really started there for us. And obviously Stailee Heard is, the leader of that group, first team All Big 12 last season. And so anytime you can return, anyone and just have continuity, I think that that's huge in today's portal era. And then, of course, Jaden Wooten complimenting her and Praise has been here and knows how we do things. And unfortunately, Macy's out this season, but still from a culture standpoint, she knows what it's supposed to look like. And then, as you mentioned, just signed a really great portal class, the 7th ranked portal class in the country. And a couple of those players being actually from the Big 12. So we were able to get Amari Whiting from BYU and Achola Cott, who both have just been huge players. And I mentioned, or I forgot, a really important person, and Micah Gray. Yeah. That's my fault because she's a really important one. But, just piecing it all together, Haley Timmer out of the portal, who unfortunately beat us in the NCAA tournament. It's been really cool just to see it all come together, and we're excited.
Well, and then you throw in Lena Girardi. And you know what's amazing, Coach, though? So I remember having this conversation with you going, who's your starting five? And you're like, man, that's a good problem to have because there's 6, 7, 8 kids here that we could really put in there. And then we got in foul trouble and had a couple of injuries, and you look up and you go, man, we're so deep, and yet all of a sudden that can be taken away. So while your depth is obviously a huge asset, and at times you go, well, how am I going to get everybody minutes? There's really these quick reminders that we need everybody.
Definitely. I think that everyone is an injury or two away from feeling like they drop off quickly. Yeah. And for us, most recently, that has been Lena. We got her back last night, thankfully, but that really hurt not having her in our game against Baylor when we were running into foul trouble. But I think that, yes, we do have a lot of depth. Maybe more importantly for us, it's balance. We've have, I think, still to this day, we have 7 players averaging double figures. So it makes other teams, it complicates things for other teams and guarding us and things like that. Whereas maybe some teams have, just a superstar who's scoring, 25 points every night. That's not really us. Ours is more about 5 or 6 players getting 10 a night, and just kind of piecing it together that way.
Well, in fact, your 7 double-digit scores is, with 7, the only team in the country that has 7 kids in double figure. I mean, that's pretty amazing when you think about it, Coach. That's how balanced you guys really are.
Well, it is amazing, and I'll tell you, you got to have people who are selfless and who are willing to pass up good shots for great shots and get everyone involved and have the maturity to understand that sometimes it might not be someone's night, but as long as someone else is stepping up, that's the most important thing. And we've kind of tried to, navigate that, and our kids have handled it really well. But it is a little bit unique.
And so every one of those kids, and even maybe kids beyond those 7 that are scoring double digits, have had their night, as you just said. It could be anybody. It could be Jaden off the bench. It could be Timmy. It could be Mike. It could be say. So, and the other thing with this team, you talk about them being selfless. This team is really high in the assist category. So assist are meaning I gave it up so you could get a shot. And in fact, there are times when I go, take the shot. Why are you making the extra pass? That's how selfless this group is.
Yeah, and that's when we're at our best, is when we're moving the ball side to side. I just rewatched our game from last night, and I mean, we executed really well, but had really great possessions where every single person touched the ball. And I think that's what it takes. And just as I mentioned before, it's hard to guard.
I want to make, since you brought up last night's game against Kansas, a victory for you guys. You're fourth on the season in the Big 12. You're second on the road in the Big 12. I want to go back to this original thought, but since we're on that topic, you guys are obviously very known for your three-point shooting, and yet ball rotation kept getting three-point shooters wide open, some flare screens, some things that were happening. And Kansas wanted to take that away, but they were not able to eliminate open, good looks. That's got to feel good as a coach going, okay, we know they want to take that away, but we're finding ways to make it happen anyway.
Well, I think if you have players who can't penetrate and create inside off the bounce, then that's a different story. But we have that. Jaden Wooten is as good at getting to her mid-range or getting downhill as anyone in the league. Stailee has been phenomenal and really come on for us since, the last few games. And she's such a mismatch problem for people. So she's able to get to the paint. And so when you have that, then people really have to kind of pick their poison. Are they going to stay home on the shooters outside? Because if they do, then we're going to score at the rim. Yeah. And if they help in, then we'll have those kickouts. And yesterday's game was a great example of that. In the first half, we did a really good job of finding the shooters, and then they had to stay home, and then we had a bunch of paint points. So it's fun to have that versatility offensively.
Well, and the other thing with this team, you guys are true shooters, right? I think you started 0 for 5 from beyond the arc, and then you went 6 for your next 7. These kids understand. In fact, we had Haley Timber was in our post game. And again, I asked her, in fact, if she wants to coach. She goes, yeah, I think I do. And I go, well, I'm not surprised by this because you speak at such an intellectual level. She said to us, once we identified that our threes were going, we decided it's like, that's just coach. That's the way a coach would speak. But she was like, once that happened, we realized, we needed to rely on that. And man, when you guys did, you started opening and controlling that ball game.
Well, especially when you're playing against another team that doesn't particularly score from the three that much, then you're getting threes and they're getting twos.
Yeah.
You can build a lead pretty quickly, and that's what happened for us. We were able to jump out to that big lead, and I think within that run we made 3 threes. So yeah, it's a fun way to play. I think our kids enjoy it. Obviously fans enjoy it. I enjoy it when we're making them. But yeah, it was a good night last night.
The defensive side though too has become such an important part of what you guys are doing. This Big 12 is so good at scoring the ball. Everybody can score. And you guys have it seems like there's some buy-in, certainly with Amari Whiting and some other kids. She kind of leads the way on the defensive end.
Well, I think we have 2 really great defenders in different positions. You mentioned Amari. She has definitely been that leader for us. She's our quarterback on defense. She's always drawing the toughest assignment and wants it. She loves it. She would be offended if she didn't have it. And that's just really unique and rare. And then the other one is Achol, A2 as we call her for everyone. So I'll call her A2 from now on. But she is so incredibly versatile. She can guard posts, she can guard guards. And, Amari's got a big body, and so for a guard. And so it really allows us to do a lot of switching and things like that. And it's just fun because the balance that I mentioned on offense and the versatility, I think we have that on the defensive end as well.
Going back to last night's game, I thought the game looked like it slowed down for you guys in ways we haven't seen maybe to this point in the season. There were points where the ball was almost trapped in the short corner, and there's a lot of times kids panic. They want to get it out. Listen, I'm about to get myself in trouble here. But there was patience in letting the defense come, little bounce passes to an open shooter, maybe somebody cutting to the rim. It felt to me like even away from the three-point game, your offensive rotation, it just seemed like it slowed down and everybody was seeing the game really, really well.
I would say that going back to a few games ago against Baylor, we learned a really tough lesson of game management, poise, composure. I talked to them after that game about losing your wits. I felt like we lost our wits that game. And you know, that's really hard to swallow because you feel like you let one get away. But at the same time, that's why you play. That's why you have to just stay the course throughout the course of the season, because it's so long and it's about learning and growing and figuring things out. And what you just described, I think, is us growing in that area. And I thought last night, you know, anytime they started to get close and things felt a little bit hairy, our kids were just really poised. They executed really, really well. And so I'm really proud of that because I feel like we're definitely growing in that area.
Go back to the original thought that I had left a minute ago. We were talking about individual players. Stailee Heard, early on, now she had a couple of injuries, so she probably came in the offseason and didn't have the game shape that she wanted to be in, and she's played herself back to being who she was a year ago. But I also felt beyond that, she was maybe, the word might just be patient, passive a little bit. To the point where she was letting everybody else have their numbers, that selflessness we were talking about. But there was times when maybe she was being too passive. And then you lose Alina, and then you go Stailee. You're the kid, right?
Yeah.
You're the pillar
You're the
here.
one.
And since that moment, whatever clicked, and Stailee Heard seems back.
She's definitely back. How about that block that she had last night where she came across the paint and, I mean, just batted it out of the air? That was Stailee's back play for me in my mind. But no, I've said this about Stailee from day one. She's a true competitor, and kids all say that they care about winning. They care about winning when it benefits them.
Yeah.
Most times.
Yeah.
That's not Stailee. Stailee truly just wants her team to win, whatever that looks like. And I think as we put our new roster together early on, she saw that we had more talent and more pieces than maybe what we've had. And she really just kind of deferred. And I think, as you mentioned, she knew she wasn't in the shape that she was in the season before, and, you know, kind of had to slowly get back on track with that. But I had a conversation with her going into conference where, you know, I had to tell her and remind her, well, I did build this roster around you, Stailee. You are our first team All Big 12 player. You were, you know, an All-American last season. And it's crazy because we think that she knows that, but you could kind of see the wheels turning like, oh yeah, I am that. But it just speaks to the selflessness. She's a great teammate. She's an incredible competitor, and I think when she's playing the way that she is, what she doesn't realize that I see every day is the confidence that she gives her teammates, and that's really the way she can be the best teammate for us, because she just gives everyone so much confidence and really just has this way of imposing her will, and people follow that.
Well, and yeah, she's just got that raw talent, and it's all coming together for her. I could see why she would be a leader on this team. Real quickly, only 4 losses all year long. Right now, you put yourself in the top, near the top of the Big 12. You're in contention for this league. But I do want to go back and talk, before we just talk X's and O's, the culture a little bit. After a couple of those losses, you had kids come to you and go, Coach, I'm sorry. That's not me. I don't know what just happened to me tonight, but that's not me. And when you look at those, again, most teams have at least 4 losses this time of the year. Every bounce-back game has been really good, win column games, and have come out and really responded well. But the response to the individual performance, to the degree they'll come tell you that, just speaks volumes about they understand what your expectation is of them, what their expectation of them is, what the fans' expectation is, and it's almost apologetic.
Yeah. Well, I think we've built something really special where the expectation is to win. And everyone knows that in order to do that, obviously they have to play well and they have to do their part. And when they don't, they are incredibly disappointed and frustrated. And we talk a lot in our program just about ownership and being player-led. And I think what you just described is that. I think I've probably mentioned it before, but we talk a lot about this equation, E plus R equals O, and that is the event plus the response equals the outcome. And so that response is super, super important for us. And I've been proud of every response that we've had after a loss. And that's not easy to do. I mean, a couple of those games have come really quickly after a really tough loss. Heartbreaking losses, like that Baylor game was heartbreaking for everyone. But they pick themselves up, they get back after it and respond beautifully. And ultimately, we want to keep responding in the right way so that we can be at our best in March, late February, March, not necessarily January.
So now another challenge, right? One of the top teams. Now they're struggling mightily in Iowa State coming in here on Sunday, but you've got your second road win of the conference season. Now the home floor is so important. And this is an Iowa State team that comes in here that's got probably the best, at least the best scorer in the country. And they're going to be an incredible challenge and a great opportunity for fans to see you guys.
Yeah, I mentioned this to you last night, but Audie Crooks, who you're talking about, is arguably the best player in college basketball right now. She's one of the most, I think she is the most efficient scorer. She's pretty much just automatic when she catches it. It's a bucket. And so I would say, if you even just appreciate basketball and good basketball, you need to be at the game because you're going to get to see one of the country's superstars. And we all know Iowa State has a great history of women's basketball, and they're struggling a little bit with going through some injuries right now. But the way I look at it, coming off of a loss, they're going to be even more hungry. And I just talked about how our team responds coming off of losses. They're a very well-coached team. They're going to come in trying to turn things around and super hungry. And our crowd, I think, is one of the biggest benefits that we can have, and just being that sixth man and that energy to kind of deflate any wind that they might get in their sails at any point in time. And our fans this is my favorite year of being here in terms of our fans. They've been so engaged. Of course, they're coming, right? I mean, it's just been a tremendous turnout, and the way that they're engaged. And I don't think we win that close Colorado game, our last home game, without them. In fact, I know we don't. They've just had this infectious energy that we feed off of, and we are certainly going to need every single one of them.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Good luck on Sunday against Iowa State. Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
All right, so get your tickets. The Cowgirls will play Sunday at noon at Gallagher-Iba Arena, taking on a top 25 team in Iowa State. And that's going to do it for us. We certainly want to say thanks to you guys for tuning in. And that'll do it for us. For Coach Jacie Hoyt, I'm Casey Kendrick. We'll see you next time on Inside OSU Athletics.